You're about to watch me read Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I'm really excited to read this book. I actually wasn't going to read it because I thought it looked a little bit silly, but that's actually why I'm going to read it. And so a bit of backstory. My boyfriend really loves chess. He plays every single day. He has a coach. Like, he's super into it. And so as a joke, I had picked up his book and said, I found the perfect book for you. And he looked at it and went, and I was like, I'm gonna buy it. So I bought it. And so I'm gonna read this book because I really like Ali Hazelwood so far. I've only read one of her books, so it's kind of hard to say like if I like her in general, but her one book that I did read, Bride, was really good. It was so funny. It was so, just everything was awesome about it. And so this book, it's a little bit different. I don't think I've ever read a book that's about chess, but I'm very open to it. And I'm very excited to tease my boyfriend about it and pretend I know all the chess stuff now. So from my understanding, this book follows two chess players, like really good chess players. And our main character, she was basically really good at chess, but it was starting to interfere with her family and she was prioritizing the game over her family, and so she stopped playing. But her rival continued to play, and her rival is like, they call him the bad boy of chess, so that already sounds like incredible to me. And he ends up losing to some like rookie, and the main character is like, oh, like he's gonna quit now. But no, he doesn't quit. He wants to play again. And I think that this inspires her to get back into the game. And this is like a rivals to lovers kind of story, so I don't know if they're gonna end up like working together to defeat this rookie or like what that's going to be. But I am very excited because there's nothing I love more than like enemies to lovers, rivals to lovers, that kind of like, it's just so good. I love the tension and like the drama that comes with it. And it's in like a chess setting. So it's really unique. It's very different for something like, yeah, it just sounds pretty cool. So I expect this book, I don't expect it to be as good as Bride, but I do expect it to be really well written. I expect the characters to be likable, and I also expect to definitely laugh out loud at least 3 times. So without further ado, let's read Check and Mate. So I'm a little bit more than 100 pages into Check and Mate, and here are my thoughts so far. I really like our main character, Mallory. She actually reminds me a lot of Justin from Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which I just read before I started this book. And she reminds me of him because she has kind of taken on that role as the person who takes care of the siblings. And the difference though between her and Justin is that because her mom is really sick, and so Mallory had given up chess and she's pretty much taken on the role of taking care of her siblings, signing those like permission forms, making money to help with the mortgage and activities and all of this stuff. So she took on a lot of that at a young age. So she's 18 years old right now in the book, but this started 4 years ago. And so she used to be like this really major, big like chess prodigy, but something happened. They don't exactly say why she gave up chess. It's definitely related to her dad, which I can't figure out because they haven't really said if her dad died or if he abandoned the family. And so she relates chess to him. And so whenever he left, whatever the terms were, she stopped doing chess and she focused more on taking care of her family. But now some events kind of happened and she ended up doing a chess game for charity because her best friend pretty much convinced her to do it because it's for charity and she needed somebody on her team. And that got her really recognized in the chess community because she ended up beating the best chess player in the world, who's this guy. So without explaining why certain things happen, now she's pretty much getting paid to play chess because she needs to basically help her family, and this is a really good way to get some income. But she doesn't want to become obsessed with chess. She's just like pretending to not care about chess because she actually does really care about chess. And so she's playing chess, trying not to care about playing chess, but then she's starting to care about playing chess, and she has a lot of internal conflict about this. And so yeah, that's pretty much where I am right now. I'm excited to see more of the rivalry between her and Nolan, who's like the chess champion guy. He saw her, well, she beat him once and then got scared and like she ran away. And then the second time she saw him, she was using the pool in the hotel she was at, but she didn't bring a swimsuit, so she was doing that in her underwear. And so, yeah, they have not met on normal terms yet. So I'm excited to see them like actually talk and have interactions and get to know each other and get that nice yummy tension. I will say though, this book is not going to be a timeless book. I don't think that it's going to age well because there are way too many modern day references in there. And it actually makes me cringe at times because like I get that it's for young adult audience, but it feels a little bit too hard. Like it feels like Ali Hazelwood was trying too hard to connect with that audience with like mentions of pop culture that's just happening right now, which I've always had issues. I think that automatically means that your book or your piece of content is not going to be relevant in the future. Same thing applies to like movies and TV shows. People like 30 years, they're not going to understand nor care about these references. And so that immediately ruins the value of the book that you're writing. So that's the only thing I'm like, I don't really like that. Like it's cringy to be honest, but it's also not timeless. So this book isn't going to age well. And I feel like that's something that people should always think about because it's like, if you want people to enjoy your content like forever, you want to make sure it's timeless, you know? So yeah, I'm going to continue to read Check and Mate and I will update you around the halfway mark. So I will see you then. I'm definitely more than halfway through Check and Mate, and I don't think this one is nearly as good as Bride, but what I do like about it is definitely the relationship the main character has with her family and with her sisters, and just like her own internal monologue makes a lot of sense. The book itself, it does have a couple of kind of like cringy moments throughout it that I'm like, ugh, but I'm pretty invested in the chess games and the relationships. I do wish though that this relationship was a stronger one. I wish that they had more of those kind of like smaller moments together before they kind of like confess their feelings for each other. But yeah, I think it was lacking in that department. I've also spotted a couple typos, which has been really surprising because like I think this is like Penguin Random House, like Penguin Teen. And I would have expected that they have like really, really good editors and proofers, but I've spotted a couple of them. The most recent one was the word used was against instead of again. And I was like, wait, what does that sentence mean? And I realized it was another kind of like typo incorrect word that must have just not been noticed. But other than that, like I do enjoy just kind of following the character around as she's really into the sport, navigating through family challenges, being the responsible person, trying to deal with friendships and relationships as time goes by as well. And I think that's a really strong part of this book. I've also been talking to my boyfriend about the kind of like chess related things in here, and so he kind of gives me a bit of extra information. So about some of the famous chess people in some of the books, I'll be like, is this a real thing? And he's like, yep, it's this, 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 and this. This is the history behind that. We looked at some like pictures of some of these like famous chess people as well, recognized some names of just like the books that he has, and I'm like, huh. So definitely seems to be some accuracy in terms of like the chess world, which is pretty cool. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't think that you can talk to people during tournaments, but they seem to have a lot of conversations during tournaments, and I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not. But yeah, there's this one like really mean guy who like she was doodling on her little like sheet that you record your moves in, and apparently you're not supposed to do that, and so he lost to her and he got really mad about it. So he reported her sheet, which she doodled like a little guinea pig on because her sister stole a guinea pig, and now it's her sister's guinea pig, and she got disqualified because of it. And apparently that's actually a real rule in chess as well. But yeah, like that guy's really petty. He's also super, super sexist. And that's a really good theme as well in this book about sexism in the chess community. There was even a study that is actually a real study that was done in Europe about women in chess and all of this stuff about it, because it seems like it's a very like male dominated kind of sport. But the book talks about like women are really good at it as well. They shouldn't be like kind of separated into males versus males and females versus females. They should be together. And so there's a lot of characters who, a lot of the older characters who are super against it, saying that women don't belong in the sport. There are a couple cited sources as well of like actual chess champion people who have said misogynistic things as well, which I have fact-checked that because I wasn't sure if it was just for the book or not. But yeah, that definitely seems to be a big problem there. And I was like, So I really do like the theme and that kind of message, especially because it's like, it's done really well. And the main character is like, what is going on? And she's met people who've been in that world forever, where she was only in the world as a kid, left it, and then came back as a young adult. So yeah, there's a lot of really good messages in this book as well. But despite it being a romance book, the romance doesn't really seem to be like the main focus. Like, it's there, but I think it's more about kind of like the family aspect and the character and just kind of navigating the world as an 18-year-old. So I think that that's good on its own. And I guess I'm just a little bit surprised that Ali Hazelwood, I mean, I've only read one of her books and it was one of her newest books, so it could be that as well. But it just seems like her writing was better in that book. And again, it may be because that's a newer book. And it felt like her relationships, tension, all of that stuff was better as well. So I don't know how I feel about that. And again, maybe it's because that was one of her newer books, but I don't like the idea of an author kind of like lowering their ability for a younger audience, because I don't think you have to do that. I think that you should still keep that standard that you have for yourself and just make sure it's curated to that audience, but don't lower something because it's a younger audience, because younger people, they're smarter than you think and they can understand more than people expect. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to read Check and Mate. I am at the kind of like the climax of it now, and so I am looking forward to see where it's gonna go, how everything's gonna turn out. There was a really good conversation our main character had with her mom and her sisters, and finally just like letting out all of that like pain and struggle that she's been dealing with for the past 4 years. And like now she's had just some good conversations and she's having good reflection like on her actions and herself and what does she want in the future and how can she do better in things that she's been blaming other people for. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, so I will update you with my final thoughts when I finish the book. So I just finished Ali Hazelwood's Check and Mate, and I would say this is definitely not my favorite of the books of hers that I've read, but I think that it's still good and has its own merits. I think the good is definitely Mallory's character. I love Mallory's character. She's so real. She's a young adult, like she's navigating the world. She has like very unique challenges with her family. I love the relationship she has with her family and her sisters, and just how much she like cares about stuff. And I think that she's a real character. She's got a lot of flaws, and that's okay because humans have flaws. If characters don't have flaws, then it's not really realistic. And so I really do like Mallory's character, and I think for me, her character is what really made this book. And it was also really interesting to learn about the world of chess. I think Nolan's character as well is a sweetheart. I like him. He's like kind of broody, but he's also like really sweet and innocent, and I just really like him. Like, he's nice, he's cute, he's nice, yeah. I like him. I wish that there was more scenes of them together though. I think one of the marks that was missed in this book is not enough Mallory and Nolan being rivals with each other. There was like the one scene, but I want to see more. I like the tic-tac-toe scene though, that was fun. But I would have loved to see more scenes of them being rivals, being annoyed at each other, or at least Mallory being annoyed at him because, you know. But then eventually maybe they'll have like those like little conversations, those important conversations as they get to know each other a little better. I did really love the sick scene though. I absolutely love that kind of situation where one of the characters is sick and the other character has to take care of them. So good, so good. Same thing happened, funny enough, in Just for the Summer, which is the book I just finished. So I actually really liked the overlap of some of those things in this book as well. And so I think that was good. I definitely, like I mentioned, I would have loved to see a bit more of that tension, a bit more like of them actually being rivals. But I think that they are really cute together, and I do like them together. Nolan really is a don't judge a book by its cover kind of guy. And he's adorable, yeah. He's a good book boyfriend. It was really cool to read a book where the setting was just chess in general. I don't really play chess. I know how the pieces move, but that's about the extent of my knowledge. But it was really fun because while I was reading this book, I was kind of speaking my boyfriend's language about chess. And he's like, yeah, like it's this, and I don't know. It was just nice. It was nice that we were able to kind of be on the same level in terms of like a chess conversation, because I don't really know a lot of this stuff. But he's like, oh yeah, like let me tell you about this character, this person, what they did in chess, what they're known for, what their flaws were, like all this. So I think that was really fun. So I really enjoyed just being able to speak chess, at least for a little bit. Where the book fell flat though was just, and I mentioned this already, so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it really was all of those modern day references that are going to age this book. People probably won't really get it even like a year's time. They'll see those references and be like, okay. So I think for me that like that's one of the biggest qualms that I have with books and pieces of content in general, that they talk a lot about these modern day pop culture references, but that's not gonna be modern. Like your book isn't going to be timeless if you include that in there. And so I think that's something that I really didn't like about this book. I also don't like that Ali Hazelwood kind of watered down her writing. And I mean, there's still scenes definitely where the writing is good, her dialogue with characters is always good, but I could definitely see a difference in this book compared to Bride, which again, maybe Bride came out after, but you could see that it's watered down, and it just kind of felt weird to me. Like, I think that you don't have to reduce your writing style and the way that you write things for a younger audience, because younger audiences, they'll get it and they want to be treated like adults, especially the YA group. Like, adults love reading YA. I love reading YA. And yeah, so I think that was something. And then there was a lot of typos. Like, that really surprised me. And I was like, am I losing my mind? Like, am I just making this up? And so I looked at it and I was like, no, like there's actual typos in this book, which really surprised me because of like how well known this author is, and then like how popular Penguin Teen like publishing is. So yeah, that was a big surprise for me. I don't know what's up with that. But I definitely enjoyed reading this book nonetheless. I think despite those kind of like flaws with it, it was still a really fun story to follow along. I love the characters. Again, Ali Hazelwood's writing is good. It just wasn't as good in this book, but it was a good time overall. So I will be awarding Check and Mate a total of 3 stars. I think 3 stars is a fair rating. Like, I didn't hate it, but there's definitely parts that needed more improvement, like we've talked about, but it was a fun, cute little story. It was interesting to be in the world of chess. I feel like I've honestly never read a book that has chess in it. I don't even know if those books exist in the world. They probably do. Everything exists in the world, but this is my first time ever reading like a chess romance. So I think that's really cool. It's a really unique kind of concept. I liked all the characters, but the issues that I kind of talked about is kind of what bumped that rating down a little bit more. But yeah, if it sounds interesting, definitely pick up this book. It is fun, but it is a little bit cringy sometimes. So the next book that I'll be reading is A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. This book, I think it just came out. It says 2024. It sounds really interesting to me because it's basically a husband and a wife, and the wife is starting to think that her husband's a serial killer. So it sounds really interesting to me. You know me, sometimes I'll read these kind of like thriller murder mystery, but I don't read too many of them because they do scare me. But this is like a really short one. So yeah, I want to read this book, and that's what I'll be reading next. So if you're interested in watching me read A Talent for Murder, or Brandon Sanderson, Ali Hazelwood, Emily Henry, Elsie Silver, there's so many names. In like a year's time, I'll be like 10 minutes of me just saying, this person, this person, this person, this person, these are the authors I like. But if you're interested in watching me read any of those books, definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. If you enjoyed this video, and if you are into chess, or this book makes you interested in chess for whatever reason, definitely hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!